All right, it's my pleasure to interview David Duford today. I know y'all are interested about him, what he's gone through, what it takes to get here. How did he get here? A lot of questions, right? David, if you will, just give us a little bit about your background to set the tone.
Sure. So I started in insurance out of desperation. I definitely didn't grow up to want to do this. I graduated Boston University in 2006 and immediately started a personal training gym. I had lost a bunch of weight, didn't want to work in corporate America, and started a gym in 2006. I was doing okay. And then the Great Recession hit. Y'all remember that? When housing went through, and yes, I remember it clearly. I did okay for a couple of years. And then by 2009 or 2010, things got really bad. And I lost a third of my clients inside of like a month or two. And it was obvious I was just riding the ship till the gas went out. And I had to do something else. So I started doing some research. I was looking around and looking at corporate jobs. Didn't really find anything. And then stumbled across final expense. I actually got online, did some research, was looking at life insurance. Got onto an MLM cattle call and realized what a joke that was. And then eventually found final expense. I was on the insurance forum. Some of you probably have been on there doing due diligence. And that's when I was introduced to final expense. I liked it because it was all activity driven. You're dealing with seniors. I liked seniors. And it wasn't a very technical product. It was all about high activity. So that's how I ended up in it, just like I said, out of desperation. I knew what I was currently doing wasn't going to work long term.
I like the point that you made right here at the end. It was a simple process, high activity, right? And that's still the way it is today. It hasn't changed. One thing we can control is our activity, right?
Yeah.
That, to me, is key. You touched on a little bit, but why exactly final expense?
Yeah.
What made you gravitate to that specific?
I mean, originally, this guy didn't have a choice. I mean, to be honest with you, it sounded good. It kind of fit my personality type. I just wanted to go one call close. I didn't want to get into something like annuities that was more technical, or Medicare that would take a long time to learn and then implement and then slowly grow. Like, I needed to make money. And I felt like final expense would do it quickly. But I didn't really have any other. It wasn't like now where you can get on YouTube and have like 10 different options of what to choose. And this was presented to me. I had to run with it.
Well, and you did well. You had a good run at it. But things got a little rocky.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We kind of fell out.
We did. So I had my first couple months, I was doing well. I wrote $6,000 my first month part-time. I didn't give up the personal training gym because I thought, well, what if this doesn't work out? I don't want to can this, even though it was a little bit of money, was something.
Yeah.
And so 6 months in, I was doing $15,000, $20,000 a month. And I thought, okay, this is it. I believe this is a long-term opportunity. So I closed the gym down, went all in the final expense. And then the big old brain got in the way of success.
Oh.
My own worst enemy. I'm kind of a marketing type of person. And I was working direct mail leads, same exact thing we're working. I thought these leads are dumb. I mean, state regulated program, like you waste time. I don't like wasting time. I just want to talk to people who buy, right? So I wrote this brand new lead, untested, threw like $3,000 in, which was a lot of money for me back then. And I didn't have the money to do it. And I ended up doing worse than I had with just the basic plain old leads. And all the while, I start not making as much money. And I became more and more frustrated and played avoidance behavior with the bank account until I think it was June. I walked in after a terrible day. I'll tell you how I quit too in a second. And I looked at my bank account. I had like $95 in it.
Okay.
I had $50,000 in credit card debt from the personal training gym. I had a wife who didn't want me to do this crap anyway. And then a kid. And I had to go upstairs and tell her that the worst thing a man can do is tell her she was right. It didn't work. You were right. I should have got the job at TVA instead. So that was kind of the low point. The reason I had quit or the point that I had quit, I ran a lead and I had a terrible day. It was the same day. And it was the final appointment. It said on the appointment, call to confirm. Never call to confirm. Just show up. Okay. Of course, I was like, I'll call to confirm. I called and the lady answered and I said, yeah, I'm just calling to confirm her appointment. She says, oh, somebody just was here and sold me a policy. I was devastated. I was like, well, that's funny. I mean, your son set the appointment and, you said you were interested. And she said, I don't care what he said. I bought it and that's it. Click. Like, right. I said, to hell with this crap. The funny thing is, fast forward a couple of years when I got back into it, I got another card from him. This time I door knocked him. I didn't set an appointment. And I talked to the son and we started talking. I said, it's funny. I was actually here a couple of years ago and your mom canceled because she bought a policy. He said, that's funny. Mom never did that. She has Alzheimer's and she's had it for years. And it struck me that I'm like, this woman, God bless her, had Alzheimer's, was the death knell for me. Right? Like that's what took me out, and it's funny looking back at that stuff now.
But it was something we trained not to let bother us now, by the way, too. Well, you of course you did the fast forward. So you did come back to the business.
Yeah. Let me tell you how I did that. So I quit the business and then I got a job working for Aramark, which is a uniform services company. My first real job, I always had I'm an entrepreneur. My dad was an entrepreneur. My grandfather, it's in the blood. And I needed this experience of failure, David, because I needed to appreciate what I had. This business, this awesome opportunity that it was my fault that I failed. Nobody else's but my own. But I got the opportunity to work for somebody and I realized if I stay at this Fortune 100 company, my progression is never going to be as fast as it could be. I'm going to have to take orders from people who are less competent than me. I'm going to have to wait around to be promoted. I'm not going to have control of my destiny.
Yeah.
And I needed to go through that to reset my thinking and to realize that it's my own ego that got in the way of my failure, right? And so about a month or two of doing this, I got back in the final expense part-time and I dedicated myself to doing the business right, the sticking to the fundamentals, the things I talk about at length whenever we talk about the business. And I got back to working direct mail, working part-time. I worked several nights a week till 11 o'clock at night. My wife was pregnant with twins. I never was home. But what I told my wife, and God bless her, that we were sacrificing the short term for the long term, that we had to get through the hard stuff to one day, possibly, no guarantees, get to the good stuff. And a year in of Aramark, and my wife, right after she delivered the babies, I went independent and I quit my job. She wasn't excited. I'll tell you that much, as you ladies could imagine.
Well, now the second time around, what did you do anything different? How did you make this time be successful?
Well, I didn't think, or I didn't allow the creative side of me to get in the way of what was necessary. This business is boring. It is not new. You don't need to think. You don't need to be intelligent. You just need to follow the system and not deviate. It's that simple, but it's that hard too, because we all think that we know better and we think that we've got some crazy idea that's bound to be profitable. But the truth is so many people have tried it before you. You just are unaware of it. And so this time I really worked hard on getting that side of me out so I could just focus on seeing the people and using the marketing methods that have been proven to work for decades and just rinsing and repeating, which is very hard for me.
Yeah, it is. It seems monotonous at sometimes.
It is.
It's really that simple. We just wash, rinse, repeat, right?
Right.
Well, you came out, you were writing good production, but there came a point in your life where you looked for something better.
Right.
When and why did you pivot to agency building? What caused that?
Yeah. So I was talking to Chris Sorrentino last night and about income goals, et cetera. And it dawned on me that for me, and I'm not saying this is right for everybody, but I'm just telling you my story. I realized that the big money the money you could really earn and then have some level of lifestyle associated with it really is on the agency building side, or at least expanding your purview of product knowledge. And so at the time, it was in 2013, I was either going to do Medicare or I was going to do agency building. And I looked at Medicare and I thought, well, I don't have to learn all this stuff over and how Medicare works, all the details, and start from square one. Whereas I looked at the field and final expense and I knew the products, I had my ups and downs. And I think there's value in learning from somebody who has sucked at one point and who has been done well, because there's going to be some wisdom in that. And I looked around and nobody was really teaching agents like this. The MLM culture was just as bad as it was then as it is now. And I decided, hey, let me have an agency focus on training agents to sell successfully so they could avoid the mistakes I did. So for me, it was, let's pivot to agency building because I've already got the skill set that I think I could help people with.
Along those lines, give us some pros and cons of you focusing on building an agency.
Yeah, for sure. So, on the other side, being good at one thing in life and being the best at it is probably the best and most surefire way that you're going to be successful. It doesn't have to be insurance, it could be anything. But getting good at one thing, a scalable product, could be roofing, it could be anything. That's the way to, I think, wealth and very good income. But in the transition, the reality is that you can't just give up selling to just agency build. Because guess what? You hire agents and most of them don't do anything.
Yeah.
They talk about doing something, but they don't. So you have to still sell while you simultaneously build. And so for me, the challenges were making that bridge from personal production to just agency, depending on the income from the agency to provide for me. And that process took 4.5 years. But throughout those 4.5 years, I worked full-time. I had agents in the car with me every single week for years because I wanted them to see the business so they could visualize themselves and see it's not a big deal. It's talking to mom and pop. And it's not as complicated as it seems. So they, seeing is believing to some extent, doubting Thomas's and all. And just juggling that it's a challenge. Of course, I love what I do. My work is my identity, so it wasn't that difficult. But it's consuming, and it just took a lot of time. And sometimes that and that's a big thing I see a lot of agents do when they start building. It's going to deter from your personal production.
Yes.
So you have to accept some kind of step back in order to accommodate agents, because what you don't want to do, right, is be in a situation where you join an agency and they don't talk to you, they don't train you, they don't do anything with you, because then you're frustrated as the agent. So you owe it to them as the agency builder to develop them so that they can develop your income, right, and override.
Exactly. Okay, some words of wisdom for a good, successful producer. How can they pivot in the correct way, or the best way we think anyway,
sure,
to agency building?
So first of all, become a master of your craft as an agent. The biggest mistake MLMs especially do is they convince you that new agents should recruit. And that's a distraction from really the time that it takes to be good. If you get good at something, like if you're David or Chris or John, and you really want to recruit, people will come to you because you have the skill set. You're it's the apprentice, right? You're learning from the master, right? Whereas if you bring in a high quality individual and you don't know what you're doing, guess what? They're going to read right through you in a matter of time. And why do they want to give up overrides to you or work with you if you have nothing to give back to them, right? So the number one thing to do is to be good yourself. You don't have to be the greatest. I'm not, right? There's agents who are way better than I ever was that work in our agency. But you got to be good, and you got to be good at transferring that knowledge to them too. And the best way to do that, I think, is through experience, not reading what this book says and then giving it to them. So that to me is the big thing. And then the second thing is just understanding it's time. And you really got to invest in your people that you bring on. You got to take care of them, answer their questions, be willing to take text messages, phone calls. I'm in the home. They got all these conditions. What do I do? And that is you have to put that effort in first before you get the money.
Yeah.
And so you got to give yourself. That's so important.
A very good point there. You've got to, again, pay your debt, right? Everything's about paying it forward. Well, Dave, our agency here lately, we've hit some huge numbers.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
For that, I'm thankful for. You're thankful for. We're all thankful for it, right? Kind of tell us about the numbers.
Sure.
And how that's gone. So
I need to brag on my people and tell you about the big change we made a year ago. So my business had run as a solopreneurship up till about 2023. Yeah. So I was doing everything, the training, the support, the admin stuff was handled by Kara and Nancy, but otherwise everything was me. And what I realized is that if everything depends on me, is this really a business? It's a job. And if I want to grow and get more people successful, then I'm going to have to take people on like David or Tim and put them in the roles that they can help people so I can free up my time as the visionary and kind of the director of the business. So at the end of the year 2022, I decided that's the direction I wanted to go. And so we made a bunch of hires in, people that I thought were very good at face-to-face or telesales like Tim, and basically put them in charge of those divisions. And then allowed me to focus on what can we do to grow the business and to improve it. The goal in the first year was to get operations, meaning everything that we do for agents, as good as possible. Because I think if you've got a strong operation, you're going to retain more agents because they're going to be more successful and you're going to grow just by default. And that's been tremendous. So, for example, 2023 January, we did 545,000 in business, new business submitted. This year, a year later, we crossed $1 million for the first time in a month. So almost a doubling of production increase. Last week, we did 330,000 in 1 week. So we're trending to even beat that number from last month, this month. And this is a short month, being February and all. And it's been incredible. And it's you guys out there that work with us, that hustle and work hard, and my management team that's just done a really good job. And, I'm blessed to have them. It's been awesome. So thank you all out there. And thank you, Dad.
Well, and I think another thing, this is for me, we looked at some new vendors. We looked at trying to really give the best to our client.
Yeah.
How much of an impact do you think some of our new vendors and the way we're trying to do our underwriting has had on?
You say vendors? How do you mean?
Our carriers. We've kind of gone with, we've gotten lucky and gotten some new carriers that have really, in my opinion, helped us out to give better coverage.
Sure. Yeah, we're working with carriers that aren't in the typical lineup, that are more concentrated on, I would say, like a mid-sized agency or FMO, IMO like we are. And so they're not, the big problem with a lot of these mainstream companies is they're in bed. They have to be if they want production with MLMs. And a lot of those guys have terrible persistency. They write trash business, tons of chargebacks, roll-ups, et cetera. With us, because we really care about training and supporting our people, I think we write a better quality business overall. And insurance companies really need that. They don't want volume without quality is bad because it costs them a lot of money to underwrite this stuff and maintain the book. But having agencies that are focused on production first, not recruitment, helps solve that problem. So I think we serve a good role with the carriers that we have.
Before we take questions, if you had a bit of advice from what you've gone through in the past to now, to a new aspiring agent, what would that be?
Just do the work, follow the directions, don't deviate from the given path. This is a boring, straightforward business. It doesn't require creativity. What it requires is consistency. And I think that's really the separation point between the people who are even just good to the great, is it's time. It's time. I'm now 13 years into this, and the money I've made over the last 3 or 4 years, it just eclipses what I did for the prior 10. And it's because I put in the effort over time through the content creation, recruiting agents, keeping them, and just staying at it. Again, that's the big thing, is the consistency. A lot of people don't have the consistency, David. They'll do it for a month or two and then quit. But if they did it for years, That's where the real opportunity lies, and that's where you'll separate yourself from wild success from mediocrity.
I totally agree with that. Okay, I know we got questions. Here's y'all chance to get him. Who wants to go first? Oh no,
No questions.
man, y'all
You must watch my YouTube.
y'all gonna make me ask him all these questions.
So, in the state of Utah, you're allowed to register with the insurance commissioner as a DBA. Is there an advantage to doing that versus just operating under your own name?
No. I will stem off of that because there's another important point out. I think new agents shouldn't start with an LLC or incorporate. It adds a lot more expense and time to get licensed. And momentum is really important for you new people out there. If you don't take action quickly and get on the phone or get in front of people and you're brand new to this business, you'll lose momentum. And then you'll see some new shiny object and then follow that instead. So for me, if you get licensed and you do the LLC, do it after you start writing business because you probably need that money for leads or just living expenses anyway. But the DBA stuff, that stuff doesn't really matter. Yeah, well, where your clients buy from you, not the carriers. I mean, David and I have sold, your clients will never hear ever again after you close them on it. And there's a running joke too, like, David and I had to walk into a house, close somebody on the policy, and never mention the name of the company.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. It does not matter. All that matters is you, the agent, and the relationship with the client. And I would say the same thing for even, a corporate setup. As much as that brand is there, if you're a jerk and they don't like you, it doesn't matter what the brand is. So it's you, the agent, that matters, right? The carrier is always far behind the agent in the relationship.
You mentioned a word just a minute ago, shiny objects.
Yes.
Okay.
Very big problem.
Now, I've struggled with shiny objects. I've been called a cat before. Give us some ways that we can stay focused.
Get a hobby.
Okay.
That's the thing. I mean, you can be successful at anything in insurance. Critical illness, Medicare, final expense isn't the only thing. But it's consistency in executing the plan over time that makes the difference in that one thing. But again, what people want to do is they want to, like I was talking to a guy on Facebook. He's like, man, I love your agency. I want to join. What about the IULs and the term? I'm like our top guys, they just sell final expense. Like if you're really crushing it and you're going all they'll have time for is self-finance. We don't have time to fool around with IULs and term. But what about that? What if I miss it? I'm like, I know it sounds counterintuitive. But you go on convention trips and you talk to top producers, most of them just do one thing. Now, there's John Deans of the world. Like, there's guys who do others. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but I would say the John Deans of the world, probably 20% of the top producers. Yeah. The rest of them are like, they do employee benefits, annuities, and that's all they do. They do one thing. And so I think that's an important lesson to play is where your passions lie, what product entices you the most, like what can you see yourself doing long term? And get really good at it.
Any questions so far?
Let
me get you all right real quick.
Were all of the pitch dialogues in your school as far as
scripts? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, we got it all, man. We got it all. In fact, if you go to davidduford.com/ISS, we give our scripts for free. I mean, 95% of our training I release to the public.
Yeah.
We like to show what we do. It's the training and coaching and the time and task that really is the thing that we can help you with, right? Because helping you implement the thing is what makes the money. And having somebody in your corner to help you with that.
And just me on a personal note, you want a place where you got the right training. You want a place where you got support. I didn't have that for so long. David didn't have it at first, but the key is we learn from others' mistakes instead of continue to make it. Another thing I have, David, as far as our training, me personally, I feel it's top notch. We can always get better. I get that.
Sure.
But what I'm curious, I know what led me to go that way. what led you to finally figure out that training is the key to all of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was just the lack of it, really. I mean, and the general scope. I mean, having agents complain about, so-and-so recruited me. When I call, they don't pick up. They get mad at me when I ask questions, and just kind of this, it was just counterintuitive to me, like, well, then why are you recruiting? And so it's so obvious to me, like, of course, people will want to come to the place that has training. Of course, because that's valuable, So, yeah, I mean, it was just, again, it was obvious. There was a need in the market for it at the time, still is. You guys could open an agency right now, and if you're masters of your craft, like I said, people will come to you.
Any other questions we got so far?
Oh, yes.
We're not good at selling ourselves. We're sorry.
So a quick shameless plug. Go to my website, davidduford.com. There's a video now we've put up there. It's a really good overview video. It'll give you the rundown of how everything works. And then from there, you'll see what next steps to take. Yeah. So check that out, and then you'll see what to do from there.
Does your agency mainly, is it like a virtual type of agency, or do you have an actual brick and mortar place or office?
My spare bedroom.
Your spare bedroom. How does that work? Good.
Yeah. Well, it's an office now. I've moved up in life a little, so. Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting that the big trend in our business now, as it really is all work. Work is moving remote. People like working from home or traveling while they work. And it's for sure in the insurance business. I would say 80% of our new applicants are remote. But, obviously we have a face-to-face division, and that's why we got David to help with those agents. So we support both. But yeah, we just never needed a brick and mortar. I mean, I guess if I wanted to floss, and like, hey, check out my office, I don't care about that stuff. I want my money, and not waste on something. But for us, it's just virtual, completely remote.
Laura.
I know I've asked this question before over the past couple of years I've been with you.
Is it the same?
I know he's changed it over here. That's why I'm asking again. That's all good. If I were a brand new agent signing with you today, and you could only give me 5 carriers, 2 for term and 3 for whole life, who would you give? Who would you say would be the best?
So over the phone or in person?
Over the phone.
I would do Final Expense, SVLI, SIGA, AIZ. So I'll tell you why. SVLI, 90% approval rate. Very important. If you're selling over the phone, if you don't get them approved, they're going to wear out and hang up on you. Okay, so 9 out of 10 apps get approved with SVLI. Great rates too. Easy application. SIGA, the king of niches. You can get COPD, congestive heart failure, dialysis, and cancer just here, first aid full coverage. Yeah, you heard me right. They're not perfect. They're a newer company. You only want to use them for those niches, but they're a great fallback if SVLI doesn't work.
Yes.
And then AIZ is your backup. That's guaranteed issue. It's just a decent all-around guarantee. Yeah, GTL is near guaranteed issue, and SIGA does what GTL used to do, but better.
On the first day, full coverage level.
For term, I mean, I'm not a term guy, but I would probably say Mutual of Omaha for the brand name effect. And then maybe Foresters. You could also do Prosperity if you wanted a fully underwritten product, protected. But Foresters does too. Yeah. That's it.
Do you work with John Hancock?
No, that's just an FFL company. Yeah, they don't, as far as I know, John Hancock only works with FFL. Yeah, for term. Yeah. Is that right? Okay. I think they may have other products, but I've never investigated them really.
Yeah.
Well, Brittany, talk to David.
Talk to me and let me give you my contact info. You reach out to me and we'll schedule a time to talk next week.
And Matt.
You got a question?
Yeah, I logged into your website because you said you could have all this previous, but it says you have to join your group to be able to get all those things. It says join group.
Oh yeah, join, and then I'll let you in later.
Join it.
Yeah.
They don't have to let you in.
Yeah.
Now, that's just joining that group on the internet.
Right. No. That is just a free website.
That's just a
Yeah,
free
separate.
website.
Questions?
Why do you give it away for free? I figure somebody wants to know that.
Anybody watch Alex Hormozi?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? What does he say? Give it away for free.
Give it.
Because if the free stuff is good, imagine how great it is to work with the company. And that's the thing. I remember seeing my first. So Doug, y'all see Doug Massey before, so he's on YouTube too. I watched his video back in 2014, and I was like, "What the hell is he doing, giving all this free stuff away? That's stupid." That was the devil on my shoulder. The angel was like, "Well, that's the genius thing to do," because the issue in this business is trust, as it really is with most. And like, I need to bridge the gap of trust because there's an MLM conspiracy in this business, and it's a big career shift people are making, and they got to trust me. So if I teach them what to do without any expectation, you bridge a lot of those issues automatically. And that's the thing. I'm not worried about giving away most of my training for free because it's not it's what's the word in physics? It's kinetic. Like it's a potential. It's potential, but potential isn't real. It's when you apply the potential that you get power or something out of it. And so that's what joining our agency is. It's taking the stuff that we get for free and then applying it with coaching and mentorship. That's the difference maker. But giving away for free is the best marketing.
Yes.
Right. I mean, Valora, she does marketing for, Facebook and for free. She gives away information on how term works, how whole life works. She gets people wanting to buy from her. So it's a time-tested concept. I mean, it works no matter what. It is. Yeah. It overcomes the skepticism. Wow, this guy's giving away all this great stuff. Because I'm sure some of you shared with me like, well, who's this idiot? And then you start watching. I said, it's quiet, so it must be a lot. Okay. And so
everybody, Dave.
It is. Yeah. But then you realize, okay, there's something to it. And then, wow. And then you see comparisons. And then, there's this whole thing that happens. So,
hey, to the point about the script, look, I've given it to a bunch of people. Without the training we offer, that script really ain't worth a lot. I've tested on some of my friends, and I just let them have our script. Say, go out and let me know how your production goes. And it's not the script. It's learning to implement everything along with the script. And to do it correctly, tonality, when to pause, when to be quiet, when to listen. There's so much more within a script than words. Yeah, I had I think David was attesting to it earlier, maybe with Chris. I had a guy tell me one time, every house you go into, give the presentation of your life. Maybe the last one you give. Maybe the last one they get to hear.
Right, yeah.
We were talking about deaths and us not closing the deal. I've had that happen.
Right.
It didn't work out good. When I went back and the daughter's like, I wish you could have got Daddy to do it. I said, honey, I was rough on Daddy. And I remember I was rough, but I still to this day think, could I have flipped him? What could I have said differently? What could I have my body language? So we got powerful stuff. I think the power is also in the training, though.
It is.
That we're offering.
It's the synthesis of it all.
Yes. Yeah. So I think give it all away. That's the nice thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Any other questions so far? Yeah. All right. Good. Come on, Christian. We need a good one.
So the Davids and I yesterday went door knocking.
Oh no, don't tell it.
And my first time ever door knock.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that before. And it's funny because I was with them and I can imagine just doing this by myself, the sheer anxiety, because I felt the anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to knock on this door. Or there was 10 people at a house and we're walking into this house. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Like the social anxiety of me walking into this house with 10 other people and you're asking for this one person and you already know they're going to come out with some type of rejection. You already know they're not interested. How do you overcome those emotions and those emotional feelings? Like, I don't want to knock on this door right now, but I have to. Or I don't want to get out of this car.
I still get it.
You just do it.
I still get it. Yeah, I go out,
feel it.
knock on the door. It's the first one. Had the same head trash goes through my head that I had the first day, man. So why does that matter? It's never going away. Do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, and here it does get easier. I mean, it's the muscles that you have to train. You know, when you do doors,
Got up, box on it, it come out, and I started saying my pitch or whatever to try to get in the house, and I completely messed it up, and I just back up, walk away, and
yeah, it gets easier, but like that's the thing. You have look at the things that you want in life are you got to get uncomfortable.
Yes.
You know, and you know, comfort is not the way to the success. You have to be and the thing is, you'll eventually be fine with it. And once you know this script and you've done it about 50 to 100 times, you've heard about 90% of everything at the door that you're ever going to hear, and it becomes rote. It really does. But don't let the emotions get in the way. The other thing is, you're not your client. I mean, like, there are people who will be happy to see you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is just in Tennessee or the South, but half the time I knock on a door, they're waiting for me to shut up, to let me in.
Yeah, they are.
You know, and that's modern day stuff. So, you know, you're just going to find different things and don't let that stuff bother you. You know, the deal is getting through that anyway. And that's where you'll find a success.
You know, Christian, I told you yesterday, the first door knock I do every day, there's a feeling right here. It's in the pit of my stomach. It's never going to go away. You just do that door knock, and then, like David said, it's done. Let's go. I'm ready to roll. We got the first one out of the way.
And the other thing is, in business as in life, it's not all good.
No.
There's always good and bad in every business model. I could say go to telesales, but look, there's anxiety picking the phone up and having people scream at you. Like, you're not going to get around that. That's figuring out what you can do sustainably, right? And go at it and be okay with the little bad. You know, it's part of this.
That's why there's a risk with a reward, right?
Right.
Always. Any other questions we got?
Well, one thing
Let me get you on the mic, John.
I told people is to fail. Go out there and fail. But the thing is, once you fail, learn from it, and don't be afraid to go back out and do it again, and keep doing it. I mean, the best thing. I mean, I remember a lot of what I failed on in this business, but that's in the back of my head, right? And I know, you know, I got to keep the momentum going. I mean, but the best thing to do is to fail, because you'll learn from it right away.
Yeah, a lot of people at the top are failures. Yeah, I mean, Trump went bankrupt, right?
Yes.
You know, I don't know if I want to talk about Trump. We're pretty close to California, aren't we? Okay, I better shut up.
We'll be back in.
I want to see not politically, just business. Yeah, that's all.
He's out of tower down here, I saw.
Oh yeah, okay.
Now, and look, folks, I think the key, and I think Mr. Duford would tell you that, matter of fact, I've heard it from him so much, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's the way you have to look at things, and in business, in life, in everything.
Best thing you could do is have a client die real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you realize the stuff that we sell, it's not like we're hustling vacuums or pest control. Like, you being there makes a world of difference for the people we talk to.
Yes.
Our people are low income. They're marginalized in many cases. They need you. They really do. This isn't just some consumer BS you're selling. Yeah. And I think what'll happen is when you see that happen, which usually happens within your first year, you're like, man, Miss Betty was healthy. She's dead. You're shocked. Yeah.
Ones that are you think that's going to die any day. They'll live. No medications.
And if you didn't show up and close her and insist that she bought, who knows? Financial devastation, family members coming apart, hating each other, arguing over who pays. Like, money problems break up families, y'all. So you got that. Y'all are life insurance evangelists. You really are. You do good work. You really do.
Yeah.
And remember that for all the crap that you take every day on the phone or in person, like what you do matters. And that's a good thing.
That's very important because I didn't realize it until the first death claim. But look, everything you do helping these individuals is a blessing. It matters. It's a simple business. I don't have to have a degree. Dave doesn't have to have a degree. You can go out and make what a doctor makes.
Yeah.
Honestly. But you got to have conviction, and you got, like John said, learn from your mistakes. I don't remember the good things I do. I don't know if you're that way, but I remember every negative thing, every house that I didn't flip the switch. Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember the ones that bought. I'll be honest, I have to look them up on a CRM. But I remember the ones that didn't. So know that you are putting a lasting impression on people. And look, that to me, that is more important than the rest of it. The rest of it will come with it, but put your focus there. And don't ever let them tell you you're a peddler. I had a guy tell me that one time. I told him, peddle yourself over to my house and let's talk about it. You know, I don't peddle anything. What we do is so important. But look, some of these folks won't deal with them. And that hurts. Anybody else got another
questions? Very good.
Well, Dave, I appreciate the opportunity to
Thank you.
interview you, man. I actually feel good.
Yeah.